the 22nd, and I would accept a motion for us to start our town meeting.
Yes, Mayor, Councilmember Blue, I'd like to make a motion to begin the meeting.
Okay, is there a second?
This is Councilmember Mendoza. I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Okay, any opposed? Okay, this meeting is now in order. I forgot to bring my gavel. Okay, we are going to do a pledge of allegiance. If everybody can stand up. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for
Which is
One nation,
God, indivisible, with
liberty and justice.
for all.
All right, thank you. So we're going to have a moment of silence. I want to specifically mention our massive loss of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the Supreme Court, and who served this country for so many years in so many significant ways. And specific mention of her. But for all of those, as you guys know, we're losing 1,000 souls a day at this point from COVID. And we need to have more than a moment, but let's just take a moment and think of all of those families hurting. Okay, so let's keep them in our hearts forever, as well as Black Lives That Matter, who've been stomped out as well. But now let's take a moment and actually rejoice in those of us who are here, in the kindness and the love and the giving that so many people offer and put out. It's quite heartening, the amount of help and support that people are giving one rejoice in. And those wonderful things that are also in our lives. And smile. All right, so let's move on to go ahead in our meeting. One of the items that we have on our agenda here is a public hearing. So before we actually go into the public hearing, we have a new officer, and many of you may hopefully have got to meet him, Officer Chavez. He was sworn in earlier so he could get to work. Our police department is now full. So we can bring in Mr. Chavez and Chief Stone into the frame. You have it? Okay. Let me just mass up here.
White Daisy.
Daisy Chavez, welcome. Welcome to the family. Thank you very much. Very happy to hear you, see you. And if you can come over here. Over where you want to be. Okay. All right, so welcome, Officer Chavez, Town of Colmar Manor Chief. Oh, this is Chief of Police. Let me see, because I printed one too, but I don't know if it's the same one. Yeah, this one says Chief of Police too. Anyway. Police officer. Police oath of office. Okay. Right hand. In the state of Maryland and County of Prince George, I, Mario N. Chavez, Jr., do swear or affirm, if the case may be, that I will support the Constitution of the United States, and that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of Maryland, and support the Constitution and laws thereof, and that I will, to the best of my skill and judgment, diligently and faithfully, without partiality or prejudice, execute the office of police officer of the town of Colmar Manor, in Sturgis County, Maryland, according to the Constitution and laws of the state and charter of Colmar Manor. Subscribed and sworn for me, Tara E. Barrow, Mayor of the town of Colmar Manor, Sturgis County, Maryland, this 22nd day of September, 2020. Thank you. Congratulations. Let's go. Can we get to,
Yeah, maybe you can hand your name on the mic for me. We get Daisy in here.
she was signing? Got it? And we get Daisy in the picture here. Y'all can stand close to each other. Got it. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Welcome to family. So we'll get that paper. Do we have the other one?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Okay, so the next thing, which is not on the agenda, however, we will go ahead and go into this process. We have a public hearing, and I would accept a motion for us to open up the public hearing. Is it currently 7:13?
Councilmember Jackson, I'll make that motion to open up the public hearing.
And is there a second?
This is Councilmember Mendoza. I'll second that.
Okay. And all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Aye. So we are now in our public meeting, and this is a public hearing on ordinance 062020, Black Lives Matter. This was introduced last month, and now we have opened it to a public hearing, which has been publicly announced, and we will accept comment from individuals here in this meeting who wants to share any thoughts in relationship to the ordinance, which has been published on our website, and hopefully people have had an opportunity to look at. But it's not that long, so I'm going to read it and be read into the record. An ordinance in defense of Black lives and a commitment by the mayor and town council of Colmar Manor to enacting policy that unequivocally defend Black lives and aim to undo the effects of systematic racism towards Black people in the town of Colmar Manor. Whereas Black people were bought as captives to be sold with their children and their children's children into slavery and bondage beginning in what is now the Commonwealth of Virginia in 1916. Whereas Black people were bought and sold as slaves for nearly 250 years and suffered unspeakable acts of violence, including but not limited to assault, rape, manipulation, and murder at the hands of their captors. Whereas the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments of the Constitution of the United States of America were enacted following the end of the country's Civil War to abolish of the practice of slavery and the extension of civil and legal protection for all the inhabitants of the United States. Whereas many states adopted so-called Jim Crow laws following the end of the Civil War and to counter the effects of the benefits of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments to the Constitution of the United States to abolish slavery, create and enforce the rights to vote and participate in elections, and provide to all equal protection of the law to Black people. Whereas Jim Crow laws perpetuated the racist, legal, and social systems existing prior to the Civil War, continuing the systematic treatment of Black people as worse than second-class citizens. Whereas the country's ugly history and state-sanctioned violence against Black people persists despite the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments and the adoption of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and 1968. Whereas Black people generally are unfairly targeted and profiled by law enforcement throughout the country at rates beyond what can be reasonably explained. Whereas racial profiling of Black people result in disproportionate rates of arrest, incarceration, and overall exposure to the criminal legal system. Whereas Black people experience inequalities across many aspects of daily life, including but not limited to housing, education, employment, healthcare, as a result of this country's aforementioned history, laws, and law enforcement practices which erode the quality of life for Black people. Whereas Black people are justifiably outraged by this country's devaluation of Black lives and humanity, whereas many of the residents of the town of Colmar Manor identify as Black or African American, whereas these residents deserve to be treated fairly and with dignity and to have their humanity, existence, and contributions valued, and whereas it is indisputable that Black lives matter. Now therefore be it ordained by the Mayor and Town Council of Colmar Manor that Mayor and Town Council recognize the extraordinary need to recognize that the Black Lives Matter movement in the United States and a need to adopt a commitment to Black Lives Matter movement immediately without delay or hesitation. Commitment to Black Lives Matter, the town shall commit to enact policies that unequivocally defend and enhance Black lives and aim to undo the effects of systematic racism affecting Black people in the town. Be it further enacted that this ordinance shall take effect 45 days after the date of its enactment. And that is the ordinance. So is anybody, this is open up to comment. I'll make my own personal comment in terms of it being long overdue, that we speak to an unjustifiable injustices that have halted, made it difficult in Black lives for many, many years, that we need to acknowledge it. And therefore, as we think of any future policies that having this ordinance, we will take into account how these policies may affect any lives unjustly, but specifically Black lives that have been seen to get the brunt of this injustice. And I'm open for any comments. Council members, do you have any comments?
Yes, this is Councilmember Jackson. I'm just glad that we're passing this ordinance tonight. It means a lot to me. The Black Lives Movement actually, I think the nonprofit started in 2013. As an African American, I have an African American son and my husband. I think it means a lot to me. We just want to be treated the same. So a lot of people say all lives matter, but we, as African Americans, we're not shown that in certain circumstances, especially dealing with the police and the justice system. So I'm glad the mayor and council are here today to have this for the citizens of Colmar Manor. And that's just my comment for tonight.
Thank you very much for that.
Yes, Mayor,
And
Councilmember.
Go ahead,
I just-
Councilmember Blue.
Yes, I just want to say thank you to Mr. Barr for helping us get this together, and I'm proud that we took that step and did it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Any additional comments?
This is Councilmember Mendoza. I just wanted to say that it's long overdue, and I'm proud and happy to be pushing this together. You hear baby Connor in the background. Woo! Yeah. It's long overdue, and I'm proud and happy to that we're passing this along. Thank you to everyone that's worked on it.
All right, thank you for that. All right.
Mayor,
Yes, sir. Mr. Barr?
I'd just like to say, and for the record, this is not an ordinance that says anything more than we should be treated, everyone should be treated as equals. And it's time to recognize the fact that Afro-Americans, if I may use that term, can no longer and should no longer and never should have been treated as second-class citizens. And I thank everybody for the kind things they said about me. This ordinance was a pleasure to write, and thank you all very much.
Well, thank you, Mr. Barr. I think you very aptly captured so many of the specifics in terms of where these injustices have persist, that it makes it very, very helpful in that language. And I appreciate you actually taking the effort to actually get all that in there, because it really shows the picture of what's been wrong for so long. So appreciate that very much. All right, is there any additional, so I've asked, okay, so now with that hearing completed, is there a motion to adjourn the hearing and go back into the regular general session?
Councilmember Jackson, I'll make that motion to adjourn the public hearing on Black Lives Matter and go into the regular session.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Any
Who seconded?
opposed?
Who
We
seconded?
don't have to second to adjourn, Mr. Barr reminds
Okay,
us
that's
all the
right.
time.
That's right. And we still do it sometimes. That's
Well, I
right.
know we still do it sometimes, right? So
All right.
it doesn't hurt to do it, but all in favor, aye?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, we are now adjourned and we are back into our regular session and we will proceed. I will first do a report on the work session from September the 1st. Reporting out on the work session, we discussed and we had a member of a church in town, I can't say the word, but our church on 43rd Ladensburg Road, in reference to a crosswalk that was put in place on Newark Road that we had been arguing. That he spoke to the issues that they had in relationship to the county permit requiring them to put this crosswalk in. And we discussed actions moving forward. I will discuss additional actions in my mayor's report as it relates to that. We also discussed getting the bazaar started, even though we've lost most of the warm months, but we're still working at getting it started. And Abigail has been, Diaz from our staff has been working on putting together some forms and documents and a flyer We really are trying on a timeline to get something up and going the first week in October. So Mr. Barr's been working with Abigail in terms of putting together the paperwork that we have, but we should have a flyer going out before the end of this week to start. And she's also looking into potentially having some Christmas trees on the lot for December so that we're still able to use the lot in December. But we'll just try to get something started. It's not going to be much, but it's just to say that, you know, we actually are making some movements on it. It's not just going away. We also discussed the ordinance and reviewed certain language in it, which we just had a hearing on, Black Lives Matter. We discussed getting the parking permit ordinances combined because as we were doing different pieces of the parking permit process, they were done in section or separate sections. And so we've asked right now, Kayla Cooper is our staff is working on putting them all together. But once they're put all together, we're probably going to need to vote on them again, and that will likely be in October to just make sure they're all combined. They all stand as laws as they are, but they're in different separate pieces. So we talked about moving forward with that. We talked about the issue of a lot of congregation on Newark Road, arbitrary congregation with no reasonable source, and the concerns that people are having in that particular location, and particularly between 42nd and 43rd Avenues on Newark. And the chief is going to be looking into some ways that we can make some improvements there, which also included getting the fence fixed. And hopefully under the chief's report, he can report out onto us any progress with the congregation as well as the fence, and the issues being that the broken window concept. When something is broken, people figure nobody's paying attention and therefore they break more. And that fence is problematic in that it gives the appearance that somebody doesn't care. And so we're working on that. We talked about that. We talked about Burger King, which was supposed to be open by last week. So right now, and I don't know the reason why it's not open, but it looks like they're pretty done. And so hopefully that will be opening soon. And we got a donation from the shopping center. Port Town Shopping Center gave us a $2,500 donation, and we talked about the spending at least $500 on giving out goods to the youth and through the police. So again, hopefully the chief will talk about what progress has been made on the $500 that we voted on for that. And then we talked about the code enforcement car in depth, and that is on the agenda for today. And so we'll have some further conversation about that. And you know what? I don't see it on this agenda, but I saw an email from Mr. Baden about putting it on the agenda. So
it's under old business.
Okay, I must have printed out one that didn't include.
Yeah, Kayla put it under old business after ordinance 06/2020.
Okay. So we had a conversation about our code enforcement vehicle, which Cottage City now has purchased an electric vehicle for the code enforcement. And previously, the car being used was a Colmar Manor car. And so now it's a Cottage City car. And we talked about what arrangements we need to make in order to make that change in our MOU with Cottage City with our shared code enforcement. So we'll have further conversation about that and where that is then. And then we also had a conversation about looking into the possibility of purchasing a electric vehicle, and that open for discussion. There was no action taken on that line item. And that was the work session. All right, moving on to the next item on the agenda is the council reports. I'll start with Ward 1, Councilmember Blue.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I would like to say thank you for all the citizens that came out and checked on the neighbors and checked on each other during the heavy storm, the rain and the flooding that we had. Also, I've noticed that a lot of people in town are kind of driving kind of fast, and there's no school and kids are out during the day. So please just watch how we drive. I would like to give my condolence also to the two families in Ward 1 and the family in Ward 3 of the loss of their loved ones. I have a new neighbor also on 39th Place, and I want to say welcome to her. Don't forget to check on your neighbors and the sick and the shut-ins. Parking issues on some of the street I've noticed. So please, the ones that have driveways, park in your driveways and let's respect the neighbors. That also applies to the loud music and play music different times. And we'll talk about that later on with the police department. Also, don't forget to check your vehicles and make sure you're not leaving your cell phones and tablets or anything valuable in there. I had a neighbor that also told me that someone took something out of a car and they didn't make a police report. If someone sees something going on, say something. Call 911 number. And I want to say welcome also to Officer Chavez joining us. And our town hall gives out vegetables, and if anyone's in any need of vegetables, please call the mayor's information message. You can text her. The school supplies also are available from our police department. Submit a form on September the 30th to do that. Also, I noticed that the bulk trash, I know with the flooding, everybody's been going through a lot, and I respect that. The mayor had a dumpster for a lot of it. But before the flooding, people were still putting bulk trash out. So if you have bulk trash, please call the town hall to schedule pickup for that. If anyone's walking their pet, I've noticed, and a couple of the neighbors have brought it to my attention, people are not picking up behind your pets. So please pick up after your pets. Also, the opening of the bazaar, I was asked about that. Watch out for the children in the street riding bikes. There's a lot of bike riders now. Don't forget to stay 6 feet apart, wear your mask, wash your hands, and stay safe. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much, Councilmember Blue. We'll hear from Councilmember Bowden, Ward 2.
Oh, I'd like to welcome my new neighbors. They live 2 doors down from me. And I'd like to thank y'all for those dumpsters because them dumpsters came in handy. Yeah. And we still have people speeding down on 40th Place. So I just like for to tell them, can you please slow down? Because on my block we have a man who can't hear, and people are still speeding. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Councilmember Bowden. We'll hear from Councilmember Jackson, Ward 3.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and residents. Ward 3 and Ward 4 got kind of, a lot of our residents got hit pretty hard with the flood that we had on September the 10th. I know in the past I was kicking and screaming, why do I have to get flood insurance? But I thank God that I do have it. A lot of people didn't say, but their basements were flooded, including myself. So things were destroyed. I know a lot of residents are very happy that we were able to have the dumpster that was placed on Launch Street because people are still cleaning out stuff, and I still have stuff to clean out. I just want to, I guess, pity pat off of the speeding in town. We have a lot of residents concerned about people speeding and not properly stopping at the stop sign. So, and I want to say kudos to the officers. They're riding around. We have a full staff. Kudos those. But one suggestion I want to make, because of the speeding, and we are a friendly family town, a suggestion would be maybe if the officers can park on certain streets, especially 40th Avenue, just to slow down the speeding. I think a lot of people cut through our town whenever Bladensburg Road is really crowded, or it's faster to cut through our town as far as avoiding the lights. Also, in my ward on Newark Road with the fence that's right there by the car wash, and the mayor touched base on it. And I know there's people that's congregating there, and I said it in the past, sometime maybe we can have, sometime if people are there, some of them are homeless, some of them are not. Some of them have grew up in the neighborhood, come around when they get off of work. But some of them are looking for jobs and need jobs, need information. That's my granddaughter hauling in the back, but some of us, she's saying hi. Some of them need jobs. So I think as a town, instead of us we concerned about it, maybe putting up a table, putting literature out there, job information, putting literature out there as far as with drug uses. I understand that there is some prostitution going on in our town. Maybe, I mean, we can't reach everybody, but if we put some information out there for just to have maybe once a week a table out there with our officers just saying this information is out there, we can reach someone. One of my neighbors was listening to our last work session and was kind of concerned about when we're talking about the ordinance, which actually I apologize, because I actually thought that's what the public hearing we were going to talk about. We're going to pass our ordinance law today, and they was concerned about the grass cutting, and I want to assure you we were having a conversation. I just wanted to let the mayor and council know people do cut their grass at 6 in the morning. I was not suggesting that we change to 6 in the, let people cut their grass at 6 in the morning. But just wanted to I let you all know that. And also I think Miss Blue touched base. I guess we're going to have school supplies September the 30th. I'm not sure if someone else has their phone off on mute, because I hear a lot of static in the background. And we want to make sure that this audio tape come across to the residents when they're able to go back and hear it. So if you can respect if someone's talking, just make sure your phone is on mute. And if I can think of anything else, I will definitely chime in. But thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Jackson. I will hear now Councilmember Mendoza, Ward 4.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, joining us for our meeting tonight. My fellow council members have said a lot before me, but yeah, I just wanted to reiterate the flooding that went on in the town last week. And yeah, that was bad, and we're thankful that those dumpsters are there, and the dumpsters are going to be there for a couple more days, I believe.
Till Friday.
Okay, till Friday. So I know that we've been told by the state to definitely make appeals for your insurance, take pictures, make a claim. So put that out there. And I know in the next couple weeks we still need to get the census going. So it helps our town, helps the community. So definitely, if you haven't done your census, get it out there and do it, because I know they are knocking on doors now. So that's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, so I will now have the mayor's report. So been a lot going on. I want to, talk about the storm. First and foremost, in my 58 years of living in the Washington metropolitan area, I've never ever seen anything like what happened. It put the biggest strain on what we have as our storm pumping stations, and also on the levee system. The levee system held up pretty well. We are really, really blessed, and I want everybody to understand how blessed we are that our pumping station continued to work. It was belabored very much because several pumping stations upstream had failures. And if ours, which is the last one coming down river in Maryland, had failed, everybody would have flooded. It would have just pushed, I mean, nothing would have been able to get out to the river because the levee stopped the water from getting out to the river. And therefore, we just would have been storm filled if our pumping station hadn't failed. I mean, had not continued to work. So we are extremely blessed. Particularly, I have your prayers to the town of Cheverly. Cheverly got hit enormously bad, which most people really didn't even think about. Senator Cardin's office had called me yesterday to find out how we were faring out. And I mentioned, that Cheverly got hit bad. And they was like, oh, wow, we didn't even think that. We just thought about the port towns and, the gateway communities that surround the river. But actually, Cheverly is the one that got hit the hardest. Most of you have seen that. The water on Route 50, which the Anacostia directly goes under, in Kenilworth Avenue and Route 50 just like got washed out. And that's pretty much that side of Cheverly got hit really hard. So keep your prayers open for them. Yes, we do have we've been talking about getting a dumpster for a while, and this necessitated the need to it. I took on the responsibility of getting the dumpster without vote as an emergency action because it was an emergency situation, which was very specific to limited locations. So it wasn't a state emergency, but it was a town emergency. We will consider at the end of the week whether we should get another dumpster. And I will ask for a vote. I will ask for an addition on this agenda for a vote for the council to approve me making that decision if we need to get it, because we needed to get dumpsters anyway just to help people. But this dumpster mostly was for our flooded victims. So it was more stuff than what was stuff. So we still need dumpster for regular stuff. And so I would like to get another dumpster at the end of this week. But it's not for the emergency, and therefore I would require a vote. So I'd like to ask for an addition on the agenda for a dumpster, a dumpster run. Okay. Is there any objections to adding that to the agenda? So I'm going to go on in my report. Things that have been happening other than that, which was actually a major thing. I want to let everybody know that we have a dance professor from George Washington University has been using our facility in order to teach her class. And she is offered an exchange on Mondays and Wednesdays from 4 to 4:30 to do a stretch and workout course. So you should have been received a flyer about it. If not, call the town hall, 301-277-4920, about getting the information. It is on web. It's a Webex, so you'll be able to see her on screen and do your stretches and perform in the privacy of your own home. So we're very happy to have that established. We also did some work. We have about $88,000 left on our CDBG grant, and we need to fulfill by the end of December. And we're working on getting some permeable pavers at 40th and Newark Road. So we've taken some action on moving that project forward by bringing in a consultant to put together some of the pieces for us. In terms of the bazaar, we've already mentioned that because it was on the work session, and that's moving forward. Maryland Black Mayors. I am a member of Maryland Black Mayors. I'm the treasurer. We did a census video, which is out on our Facebook page. If you'd like to go see it, it's also on the Maryland Black Mayors Facebook page and Maryland Black Mayors website. We also did a video on COVID-19 and the things that people should realize that it's still out there as people start to open up things. We've been dealing with helping getting a fence at the Wellness Center at 43rd and Newark Road. They've been having a problem getting the permit for the fence, so there's been some back and forth emails with those permitting people in order to get that to happen. Also, I did a survey on wayfinding signs. The Maryland National Capital Park and Planning is putting together a committee on getting some more wayfinding signs out, which helps us with tourism and things like that. Diapers been, a lot of pieces to that puzzle in terms of reporting out on the inventory, taking the inventory of the diapers and whatever. We've given out thousands of diapers at this time, which are mostly to Colmar Manor residents. So we still have diapers available and we're still getting diapers in. Hopefully we'll have more diapers by the end of this week, but definitely early next week. And I want to thank DC Diaper Bank for that, and particularly the city of Mount Rainier, who pulled that all together for us. We are doing this with Mount Rainier, Cottage City, Brentwood, North Brentwood. Those are the 5 banks. Of course, there's been several calls with the state and the county on COVID-19 and where we stand and what the actions happening next. Pretty much everybody is in a rolling opening mode. And opening up certain things. The county has not, as I've heard as of today, gone to the full stage 3 that the state has gone to. Numbers are staying pretty much at 5% positivity rate, below 5% positivity rate, and particularly for those over 35. There's some challenges in that those under 35, the numbers are growing, and that's everywhere, not just Maryland. So I want to encourage young people, particularly, that just hanging out with a whole bunch of people who are not the people you live with is not a good thing. If you're doing it, distance and wear your mask. Let's see what else we got here. Come back to the big one. I want to remind everybody about the census. We did a mailing. Right now, we have access to someone in 75% of the households in town. We did a mailing to the other 25 priority with our census funds. It definitely helped. We got another 2 points up from the time, percentage points up from the mailing. And so I'm happy to hear that. We've also gotten some more contact information and people's emergency contacts from that mailing. So the more we have reached into our community, the more we can work with our community. So it doesn't matter how much great stuff we're doing if we're not reaching people. And that was my number one thing when I first became mayor, was figuring out how do we reach people. And I'm so stoked about the improvements that we're making there, and I won't be happy until we're at 100%, but 75 is pretty good. I have been in contact with the bike share people just to make sure that we haven't completely fallen off the list. And I have gotten a response that we're still on the list. They're still working on design, planning, and construction. They've just been significantly slowed down because of COVID, but we're still on the list, been confirmed. Of course, unfortunately, in the general election, we were told, and we have a letter that we were told that we were going to be used as a site. And I really wanted us to be used as a site. I think we have the right facility, that it would have been something we would have been able to do. And but they changed their minds and they decided to only go with properties owned by the state or county. I think that's because they pay it to use sites that are not their sites. And now, the state is going to be under really tight budget with everything that's happened. And I think that's why they made that decision. But that's just me thinking it. So I want to encourage everybody. Everybody should have received your the request for absentee ballot. That is not a ballot. That is something you have to send in to get your ballot. So please send in your request for absentee ballots so you can get your ballot as soon as possible. Maryland will be counting ballots as they are received. So the more ballots that get in earlier, the better chance we have of knowing what the result is on or close to election day. There are several voting sites if you want to vote in person. So go out on the Prince George's County website and just look up voting sites in Prince George's County, and you'll be able to see the sites that that you can vote on. One thing I forgot about the storm, I did send out an email to everybody. If you've had damage, there's a tool. If you didn't receive that email, please contact the town hall, because there is a tool that they are using to collect the data so that you can record what damage that you had in your property. And it has the specific questions and the different things that they'll likely want to do some inspection by having your address. So please check. If you didn't receive the email, let me know, or send me an email, or call the town hall so that we can make sure you get that tool. Voting, general election. Okay, I'm going to ask the chief to talk about our election, which is scheduled for December the 8th, since he's normally been our voting coordinator. The mayors have formed the Mayors Association of Prince George's County, and we have had several meetings working on what will be our purpose and our goals. This has sort of come out of the Maryland Mayors Association, where we have, I keep forgetting what they call them, but groups. A couple of years ago, a year ago, when I was the president of the Mayors Association, we put together a group email for the mayors, and that's worked really, really good moving forward with the COVID. A lot of folks say that got put together because of COVID, but no, it was put together over a year ago when I was the Mayors Association president. And so now we're forming under Prince George's County a Mayors Association. So I'm really happy to hear that. That's something good that had come out of what we did when I was the president of the Mayors Association. We've been doing an awful lot of food distribution. I want to thank the Capital Area Food Bank and Shabak in particular, who have been supplying most of the food that we get. I want to thank the town of Bladensburg, who is the center town in terms of where we go get it from in the source area. So, God, I look at this, there's really a lot going on. So I want to get to the crosswalk. And we made huge progress in the last 2 days on the crosswalk. So whomever, I know that our resident in particular, who got hit with this crosswalk in front of her house, you'd be happy to hear this. In communicating with many, many, many people in Maryland National Capital Park and Planning and DPI, and I want my council to hear this. We have had a response specifically from the Assistant Director of DPI that DPI has no permitting authority on Newark Road or any of the town streets. We have heard from Park and Planning since they met and talked about this issue in a group, that they concede that there should have never been the crosswalk, that it shouldn't have been a part of the plans. And if it was a part of the plans, that they should have sent that applicant to us for approval or disapproval, and that they just need a letter from us. The applicant doesn't have to do any additional paperwork. I've spoken to the applicant. I requested that they let the inspector know, because the inspector is the one that's been holding them up. The DPI had no authority, so there should be no permit held up because of a crosswalk on Newark Road. So hopefully, as of yesterday, at the end of that day, I know that they said that they were going to reach out to the inspector. I have spoken to the church, and as soon as they get their clear, they will be removing and not painting over, but removing the paint. We sent them, Mike was able to get us 2 quotes from places that can actually remove the paint. So hopefully this drama of the crosswalk will be over at the end of this week. And I look forward to that.
Good. Mayor, this is Councilmember Jack. Actually sent a letter to our resident that the crosswalk was right in front of her house, or even on that street, just apologizing.
I don't think they will.
Well, we can.
And I'll tell you what, I can suggest. The reason I'm saying not is that the way that the response came, even though the response was, we have no authority, and there was a response, the town just needs to reject it. There was never in the emails a taking of responsibility for it happening. And because the emails were written that way, I don't see it in that future. But I'll wait till the crosswalk is gone and before I push any harder buttons, and I'll give it a
Okay.
try.
Okay, all right.
But I will forward an email to her so that she actually can see that they stated it shouldn't have happened. So, I mean, hopefully that might help.
Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Barr?
I sent an email to David Townsend at Park and Planning today, who is the planner who is handling this particular matter, at the suggestion of James Hunt, who is the director of the Development Review Division of Park and Planning, all about this issue. Copied to Director Giles at DPIE, all in going with what has happened here, that the town does not accept the crosswalk, rejects the crosswalk, and desires that it have to be removed from the requirements of the detailed site plan on the property. And that should be sufficient to resolve this issue paperwork-wise. I also alerted Mr. Taub, who is their attorney, and who didn't know anything about this, as I explained, I believe, to you last week, so that this matter should be taken care of very quickly. All the work has been done by the town at your direction, and we should be finished.
Yep, I think so. And I thank you for getting that letter out very quickly. Although I thought to myself when they said in the letter, I thought I was very, very clear in the email, the first one that I sent a couple of weeks ago, that we don't want that crosswalk and they didn't have the right to it. But it seemed like that my email should have been enough. But having a letter
I
from
didn't
you,
want to stand on ceremony.
yeah, right. So that's all right. And thank you for getting that done very quickly. So hopefully the crosswalk issue is over soon. But, it's not that it was, just to make sure anybody who's listening to this is that, it's not just a matter of the attention in relationship to the crosswalk itself being there, but it was a matter of it being our property that someone told someone to do something on and made it a part of a permit process when this should never happen. And not to see that become a precedent if it was allowed to lay, dormant and not do anything about it. And then all of a sudden, as much work as we put into making sure that these agencies come to us in municipalities before doing things on places that are our property, we don't want to lose that goal of making sure they understand we are an incorporation of the state of Maryland. And they should talk to us. So thank you for that. That is my mayor's report. I'm sorry it was so lengthy. I was actually surprised myself as much as the things that have been going on, considering that the one thing we're missing is being able to have people here in the building as much as possible. Oh, with that said, we will be starting Zumba, I think the first week in October. Of course, they will follow our protocols, temperature checks, checks on states that have been visited recently. If they're hotbed states, they will be in the gym. They will be socially distanced and they will be wearing masks. So we'll minimize any areas that can be touched by leaving doors open. So doors don't have to be touched except for the front door, and sort of try to minimize that. And so,
Mayor,
yes.
This is Councilmember Jackson. On Zumba, is there a limit to how many people who can participate in the Zumba class, or are we just targeting the regular Zumba members? Because we do have committed Zumba members, but I know with everybody some people being home and being away for these last 6 months, people have gained a little weight, including myself. So I wanted to know if we're going to like a cut, like if it gets to a certain amount, as far as with the class, and also will we be advertising it, putting it on our, I guess on our Facebook, now Facebook page, I apologize, through our email or text message, because I know that we do very well with our text messages to the community.
We will be advertising it, and we're going to have to, I mean, we'll play it by ear. You know, the gym is a pretty big place. We want to make sure that people don't have to crisscross people too much. So, you know, I'm going to suggest distances much further than 6 feet apart, so that there's room for people to move, because people are moving. So we need to make sure the distances. So I think what we'll do is, I'll probably ask Public Works to do sort of a dry run in separators down there in the gym and see how many can we get separated at about 12 feet apart from one another, and then make that our number to come up with what number it is. But yes, we're going to advertise it. You know, the idea is to, this building is the people's building, and we can't do all the things that we used to do in it, but if we can find ways to safely offer something to particularly our residents who pay for the building, we want to find something that we can give back, get out there and going. So yes, we will be advertising to our residents, but not widely, except for the regulars who come from different places at this point.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. So that's the end of my that's the end of my mayor's report. Any additional questions at this time on those activities? Okay, moving forward, we have a treasurer's report. Mr. Baden, you want to report?
Yep. Let me turn on the video here. I do not have the actual report to provide. I've been working on the year-end audit and getting that information to the auditors. And I was out of town last week, so I will forward the report to everyone by the end of the day tomorrow. To comment on, the first being Mayor's Park. For those of you who've been by, you've probably seen that the pavilion's installed, the new concrete pad, picnic tables, the trash cans. And then today we also did all of the tree trimming. So we removed stumps, we took down a tree, and we trimmed back additional overgrowth around the park. So it should be looking pretty good right now. I'm meeting the contractor tomorrow, or actually the Steve Linish, which is who we contracted with to do the work, to walk through the site to make sure everything that was supposed to be done is done. So meeting them there at 9:30 tomorrow morning. I do know that there's still a pile of dirt there that they need to move, and he's aware of that, but that'll get taken care of, and then we'll see what else needs to be dealt with. But it'll be pretty close to complete and ready to open when we deem ready for it. We're also going to be pricing out the sanitation stations that we included in the coronavirus relief fund request to the county. So that's Mayor's Park. The second item I want to touch on is the electronic sign. Mike and I met with the representative from PEPCO to discuss specifics on how we thought the electric should be run, and who's responsible for what portion of that. And his viewing of that, the work, the telephone pole that we are going to be pulling the power from actually has, I'll call it a Band-Aid on it, which means it's a damaged pole that they have, basically taped up from the bottom to reinforce it. It's a little more than tape, but it's it's a previously damaged pole, and they said before they do any more work on there, because of the damage that's already existing, that they will need to replace the pole. So obviously that will take time. He said, we're probably looking at about 4 months before they would be able to put that into their schedule and get out and do the poll. And then, shortly after that, they would be able to do the power. So they're designing the power, how they will be installing the electric from that pole to the pedestal that will house the meter that we will hook into for the electronic sign. So fortunately, it won't be done by the end of the year, which I think Councilmember Jackson was hoping for last time we discussed it. But, it is in the works, and we're kind of at their whim. Hopefully we get done sooner than later, but they have about 120 days to do that. So those were the two updates I wanted to give. I've got some other items on the agenda later, but I'll talk about those when we get.
Okay, Mr. Payton, I would like to want to ask if we might be able to use a little bit of leverage in them moving us up on the schedule in terms of that poll. So you're aware that a taped up pole fell on Newark Road a month or so ago? Are you aware of that?
I wasn't aware that it was previously taped up pole now.
Yeah, I have pictures too. And I sent the pictures into our, what's his name? Our municipal liaison from PEPCO. I actually spoke to him about it, and I had asked if they would come around the town and check to see how many of these taped up poles. It was just a basic rain. It wasn't even a strong rain, and the whole pole just fell in the street.
Wow.
And the chief might have a little bit more information on what was necessary in the removal of the tree. And it was because it was a tape, it split right at the tape. And maybe we could use that as some leverage to say, hey, this is a taped up pole. The same thing could happen on Bladensburg Road and be a whole lot worse than what happened. And it could have been bad. It could have damaged. It just happened that Bobby's car was parked just 1 foot up from where the tree fell, or it would have fell right on his car. So I'll send you those pictures, and then maybe you can see if there's something that we can do to move up getting that pole changed.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So we're going to go on. Thank you for that. We look forward to the treasurer's report. So when you actually get that done, you'll have it put online for the residents to see.
Yep, I will send it to all the council and Tracy, and he can post it online.
Okay, awesome. All right, Chief, you're up. Thank you, Mr. Payton.
You're welcome.
Right, good evening, everyone. I'm going to start out before it slips my mind to mention the town election for becoming chief. Used to be the contact person for elections. 2020 is an election year for the town of Colmar Manor for all 4 council wards. We have 4 wards and 1 council member per ward, and each of the 4 council members are for election. That election is normally held in May, but due to the coronavirus, it was postponed and has now been scheduled for December 8th. Petitions to run for council are available in the town office and have been there since the first of the month. You can pick them up anytime during business hours up here. To run, you have to obtain signatures from 10 registered voters within the town endorsing you as a candidate. As I mentioned, the election date is December 8th, but the key date in all of this is November 9th. Interested candidates have to have their petitions turned in by November 9th. You have to be a registered voter by November 9th. So all that has to tell November 9th is really the key date in the December 8th election. and we'll be putting more information out on the election very soon. So I hope that answered the questions regarding the town election. For police reports, I have 2 police reports for both July and August. And they're both have been posted on the website and they're available. For the month of July, there were 119 entries. That's not necessarily calls for service, but that's a combination of calls for service, officers routining stuff, and just entries made in the dispatch log. Of those, resulted in 11 police reports. 9 of the reports were in the commercial area and 2 in the residential. The residential were both on July 8th and involved thefts from auto in the 42 and the 4300 block of Monroe Street. On July 18th in the commercial area at the CVS at 9:45 p.m., an armed robbery was reported, an armed robbery of the establishment itself. No injuries were reported. That was investigated by Prince George's County Robberies Division, and they have since made an arrest on that. A person, actually 2 people who were involved in robbing a number of CVSs throughout the region, have since been charged and are incarcerated in Upper Marlboro on a no bond status, which is a good thing. Moving on to the month of August, 92 entries are calls for service in the town, resulting in 9 police reports, 6 of which were in the commercial area and 3 in residential. The residential.
Sorry, I'm sorry, Chief. Could somebody please mute their phone? It's a lot of static, and I can barely hear the chief.
All right, I'll unmute that one in just a moment. Those calls for service resulted in 9 police reports in the town for the month of August, 6 in the commercial area and 3 in the residential. The residentials included on the 21st, a strong arm robbery was reported in the 4300 block of Newark Road. A hit and run was reported in the 4000 block of Lawrence Street on the 23rd. And on the 30th, someone reported that they lost some personal property in the 3900 block of Newton Street. During the month of August, each officer, including myself, attended implicit bias training, which was sponsored by our insurer, Legit. And we'll continue with community relations and that type of training throughout the year. As was mentioned earlier, the Port Town Shopping Center has donated some funds for us to provide school supplies for students in the town. A notice has gone out to the residents via our email list and our text list. And we have had a number of responses. If you are not on that list and are interested, please give myself a call or send me an email at chief@colmarmanor.org. In that, we plan to give out the traditional school supplies, but with everybody learning at home, everybody kind of needs a little something different. And if you have something in particular that would help your the home learning environment, we'll try to assist with that. One thing that has come up that a parent says that the kids need are headphones with microphones. So I guess they can kind of be quiet in the house and still do their work and talk to their teachers and classmates and stuff. So we'll work on that as well. Earlier tonight, the mayor swore in Officer Mario Chavez. He's with us now and brings us up to full staff. We have 4 officers, including myself, and hopefully an experienced, diverse group of officers. Kind of skipping from the August incidents, on September 7th, we had a homicide in the town in the 3500 block of 37th Avenue. The decedent in this was Mr. Franklin Vasquez, a resident of Colmar Manor, and Prince George's County Police made an arrest in that incident within 24 hours. They arrested Mr. Gerald Day, He's 33 and of no fixed address, and he's currently incarcerated on a no bond status. In that, I'll expand on it more at the next council meeting when I go over the September reports. But I did want to mention that one key factor in solving that so quickly is that one of our officers, through his community policing, knew both of the persons, stopped and talked with them not too long before the incident happened, and was able to put the suspect at the scene. If not for that, this could still be an open case, kind of a whodunit. So I think that's a good thing. It's commendable. And everybody's mentioned the speeding and parking enforcement. With the addition of the new officer, now that we're up to full staff, we have been making some traffic stops and parking enforcement, which kind of a surprise to some of the people that we stopped, but that's will increase. With the parking enforcement, pretty much warnings at this point, with a couple of citations have been issued, but that will be turning to mostly citations in the not too distant future. Newark Road, 4200 block, a couple of issues down there, and that's the groups kind of hanging out and passing between that fence. About 2 months ago, we had concerns at the car wash itself on Bladensburg Road, where subjects were kind of living in the car wash, almost living in the car wash, spending most of the time there. Contacted management, and they were very receptive and responded promptly and put up a fence. That has assisted with moving the folks out of the car wash, but has moved them on to Newark Road. We're working to alleviate that problem. It's also caused an increased damage in the fence, and working with management to this point has not been as quickly resolved as it was with putting up the chain link fence inside the car wash. But we'll be working with code enforcement, and the mayor and I have spoke about some possible resolution to those issues. And I believe that is all I have. I'll unmute some mics here. Give me just a moment. I can find it. There we go. All right. So if anyone has any questions.
Thank you so much, Chief. I wanted to ask you about a couple things. So there was a suicide, attempted suicide. What does combined mean?
Combined, combined means it was involved a fire department call. Combined, you may see it on there for an accident combined, or in this case, a suicide combined. And I don't know the exact circumstances, but it did not result in a police report, which means there was no attempt suicide. It did not result in someone going to the hospital or being committed or injury or anything like that. Sometimes those entries are as the dispatcher puts them in or the call taker puts it in. And if somebody calls and says, I'm concerned that so-and-so might commit suicide, that's how it goes in. But in reality, it didn't turn out to be that at all.
Okay, so there's not a person who needed some psychological help.
Right. None that required to the extent of being forced to go to psychologic, to take to the hospital for an emergency commitment. It may have been to where they call out a counselor and talk to them, or do some over the telephone, or get somebody connected to a family member, or provide some other services, but not to the extent requiring hospitalization.
All right, and I'm noticing that from both months, July and August, we had hit and runs. Were those minor or?
Yes, all the hit and runs are no injuries, and parking lot come out and your car's damaged kind of thing. And one of these reports was on Lawrence Street, where side swipe mirror got taken off kind of thing. But no injuries in any of them.
All right. Anybody have any other questions? Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
Yes, Councilmember Blue. Chief Stone, what is unknown trouble?
Unknown trouble is almost always a 911 call, where you call 911 instead of 411 and hang up, and they put it in as unknown trouble.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. But if it's unknown, if it's if they know it's Colmar Manor, how can it be unknown? They know it's Colmar Manor.
Well, it's unknown as in unknown the problem, not unknown location.
That person didn't
Unknown
call.
as in someone called 911 and they didn't say what happened, so they send the police
Right.
out. Or could be someone calling saying there's a disturbance in front of my house and I don't know what's going on out there, but I think the police are needed, and they come out for that.
Mhm.
So that, though, in that list of calls, which is kind of lengthy, those are actually what the call is dispatched as, not necessarily what it was. The
Okay.
reports, when I list the reports, I try to put in everything that actually resulted in a police report. Sometimes you might get a call for, say, a fight, but it turns out to be a robbery, and that on the report side, it's classified as a robbery, but on the dispatch side, it went out as a fight.
Chief,
I don't think we
also
have
the
any fights in here.
suspicious people.
And that is kind of along the lines with disorderlies and suspicious people are usually in the businesses. There's someone hanging out in front of the building. Can you come out and make them go away? And those go in. It's usually disorderly or suspicious people. It could be to somebody calling up in the middle of the night and saying there's somebody walking down the street pulling on car handles, but that I go through each report every day or each call for service, and we have not had any of those.
All right. Anybody else have any other questions?
Yes, Chief, this is Councilmember Jackson. Just want to thank you all for doing like welfare checks on our seniors. They really appreciate it. A lot of them are here in town. They're not by their family. I run into a lot of them when I'm doing my morning walks. So just want to thank you all for just doing welfare checks on our seniors.
You're welcome. And we were doing quite a bit of food deliveries. In recent weeks, our food supply is kind of not as what it was 2 or 3 months ago. But when we do have an abundance, we still do make the home delivery.
Thank you.
All right, Chief, do you have anything that you want to add in relationship to code enforcement?
I did include with the police report is the code enforcement report, which is primarily a whole bunch of warning notices for high grass. We had a lot of rain, and I think people were a little slow in cutting their grass. From looking at his reports, most of those have been resolved. Those are either a letter to the resident or like a door hanger, and he's noted in there that those have been resolved. He's also on our trash pickup days, when we have, particularly on recycling, when you have plastic bags in with the recyclings, he's putting notices on the homes that's not allowed. And it seems to have, as I mentioned, each month that's improved. Our trash day issues seem to be less code enforcement and more the contractor leaving the containers in the street, but I know the mayor is working diligently with them to get that resolved.
Yes.
Councilmember Blue, can the code enforcer check on a lot of people? I know they're having a lot of water problems, but they're putting in sub pumps and the water is coming on the sidewalks now.
Yes, I will ask him to look at that. On the, I know he had one last month where the sump pump was discharging from one private property onto another, and
Right.
that has since been resolved. But I'll ask him to look into those that are crossing the sidewalks, which aren't too much of an issue now, but will be in freezing weather.
Right. This weekend past, we had a lot of loud music. It was like 2 streets over, but I can hear it all the way at my house. So we still have a lot of party and loud music, and this was after midnight.
Yes.
And I can hear it all the way inside my house, 2 streets over.
All right. Okay. I'll look and see if we can figure out which residence that was. I don't have that complete list of calls right in front of me, but I'll look into it.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Ms. Blue. And I guess to Ms. Blue's point, I mean, if the cycling around, parties normally don't start until around 10 to 11 o'clock. So if the officers can be cycling around then and just observe with their windows down, without a call,
Okay.
a party is loud, that'd be helpful to communicate that even without, for them to, be proactive in that particular area. So asking people to kind of bring it down before you get a call.
Right. If a person has to be at work at 6 o'clock in the morning and the party starts at 10, by midnight, everybody's just getting there and is really into the groove. And the music is very loud. I can hear it 2 streets over in my house. So I feel sorry for the person who's next door to the music. So we got to respect each other, with this party. Thank you, Chief.
Okay, you're welcome.
Yeah, and at a minimum, take the party inside instead of outside. So, all right. Anybody else, any questions for the chief? I just want to mention, and we can probably talk a little bit more about it. I would like to go in a direction with our code and relationship we have a lot of contractors that live in town, and maybe we can proactively start to marry up a contractor with people who need work on their house in order to sort of try to resolve some of the outside properties. And I know he hasn't really been ticketing people on property circumstances too much as yet. But if we want to really make the town and beautify the town, we are going to have to start doing that. But we need to be able to help people resolve whatever the issue is that they have at the same time. So we can talk about that a little bit, maybe at the work session, how we might work something out like that. Or maybe you and I and Mr. Wade can have a meeting together and talk about a program.
All right.
Mayor and council and chief, I guess this is a code enforcer issue, but on Newark Road, if you look at our streets, it's like cracks, because of all the big trucks and the traffic that's been on Newark Road, in between McDonald's and Burger King. And I just want the code enforcement to really look at it, because when I'm walking through there, it kind of scares me, and I don't want us to have a sinkhole. But our street on Newark Road is very damaged because of the traffic of the big trucks that cut through here, because we have a lot of big trucks that cut through town, especially Merlin Park and Plain that's doing work up on the ball field in the back. They have to cut through our street on Newark Road so they can turn and get up on the ball field. So in the morning, there's a lot of construction trucks that's on that particular street, and also with the new renovations at Burger King. So our streets are getting damaged by that. So if the code enforcer can look into that, that would be great.
Okay.
It's a good thing you brought that up, because I was just looking at a picture. Now, the site, I think you mentioned between Burger King and KFC. So that is our property, and I did notice in a picture we were just putting up when working with Abigail for our bazaar, right? The sidewalk, Mr. Baden, the sidewalk is completely crushed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's our sidewalk. We need to find some kind of way. I'm sure it's crushed because of the trucks doing whatever they're doing over there. We're going to have to do something better to avoid it from happening. But we need to get that fixed. So can you look into that and find out how much that would be to fix it? And somebody received, I guess it was Councilmember Jackson, you had an email from somebody asking about a sidewalk liability issue. Do we know who that was and where the location is that they were referring to?
It was in my ward, Mayor. It was on 43rd and 43rd Street, but I'm not sure exactly. I thought once I gave him the information that he would come back, something with the town. That's why I included you and Mr. Baton in the email. But I haven't heard anything yet. But it has something to do with one of our streets on 40th Street.
On a 40th Street,
43rd, I'm sorry, 43rd.
43rd.
Mhm.
Okay. Mr. Baton, can you, if I don't forget, I mean, I'll try to remember, but I might forget, but to ask Public Works if they could just do a look and see.
I could do it tomorrow too. I'm out there.
Okay. All right. Well,
I
let's
have one in
see.
my ward also, Mayor.
I'm out there in the morning, so I definitely can look and see what sidewalk that they may be talking about.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, because if there's somebody who thinks that they have been injured, we certainly don't want somebody else to get injured if that's the case. So it's something that we need to get done. We need to get done. And I haven't heard back from that person. When you copied him, when you copied us.
When I responded, did I copy you all? I have to go back and double check. I think I did.
I don't know. I know
Yeah.
that I didn't, we got the email and Mr. Baton responded to you.
Right, yeah. So
And
I'll
that's as
double
far
check.
as I know.
I'll double check.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thanks for that. Okay. Is there a motion to accept the police report for July and August 2020?
Yes, Mayor. Councilmember Blue would like to make that motion as stated.
Okay. Is there a second?
Councilmember Jackson, I'll second.
Okay. I'll call for a vote. Ward 1?
Aye.
Ward 2?
Aye.
Ward 3?
Aye.
Ward 4?
Aye.
All right. Mayor votes aye. All right. Thank you, Chief.
All right, thank
Appreciate
you.
it. All right. Approval. Oh, and Chief, I just want to thank you so much for the work that you put into getting us a full staff from the police department. It's been quite something coming in with absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And going through the process between finding them, interviewing them, background checks, and then doing the couple of week thing y'all have to do before they can go live, and all of that has been quite a bit, quite enough.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And as
We
they
are.
say on the, huh?
We're up to full staff, and we started with 0 in February, and now we're full. So I hope it stays that way for a little bit.
And in the middle of a COVID crisis,
Yes.
right?
Yes, that kind
All
of
right, so totally appreciate it. Putting it together, nothing like it. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, moving on. So we have several minutes to approve. And if we go them one by one, now I got to look at a few, but not all of them. So I will, let's see, which ones do I have here? I got June 2nd. Okay. All right, so starting with June 2nd, I did get to look at that one. I have one correction on that one, which was that in the minutes, it says that we had a meeting on the health department on January the 9th. So other than that, I thought it was fine, but that's definitely wrong because we did not have a meeting about COVID on January the 9th. So does anybody have any comments on that? If you had a chance to review it, is there a motion for us to approve it with corrections?
Jackson, I'll make a motion to approve the June 2nd, 2020 minute with the correction as stated.
All right. Jackson, is there a second?
Councilmember Mendoza, I'll second that.
And I'll call out for any discussion. I do see, or I did see Abigail on the phone. Yeah, Abigail, did you get that? Are you there? Okay, maybe she stepped away.
Yeah, she was on. She was on earlier, so I think.
I mean, I can still see her. I can still see her.
Hi, sorry, I was on mute. I got that.
Okay, all right. All right, well, and there's gonna be a couple more, so just, hang out so I can let you know. I also was able to review July 7th. The only thing I saw on there, is that at the top of the, document, instead of saying July 7th, it says Tuesday 7. So again, I would recommend approval, if there's a motion with correction.
Councilmember Jackson, I'll make a motion to approve July 7th minutes with the correction as stated.
You know what? We didn't vote on the June 2nd. I'll say all in favor, say
Oh.
aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Aye. All right, with no opposition, that passes. And now we're back to July 2nd again. And now the first motion was Jackson. Second,
I'll second. This is Councilmember Melinda Mendoza. I'm sorry.
any discussion? Okay, with correction, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. I only got 2 ayes in here. Y'all gotta unmute.
Aye.
Councilmember Blue?
Can you hear me?
Okay, I can
Aye.
hear you now. Okay, Bowden?
Can you hear Blue?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Okay,
Bowden, aye.
okay, all right. No opposition, any opposition? No, okay. Let's see, what else, the ones that I know that I see was, August the 5th. Got to see that one. I have a note on here and I can't read my handwriting. Oh, so I saw this throughout, and if we can, as a record, review these things. Some members of the council are called council and some are not. And so there was an inconsistency in August 5th. Other than that, everything else was fine. But those need to be corrected. In other words, sometimes a person is called Council Member Mendoza, and sometimes they're called Melinda Mendoza without the council member on it all. And so that was the case in this particular minute. So with that being that case, with that correction on August 5th, is there a motion to approve these minutes?
Mayor, Councilmember Blue would like to make that motion stated.
Okay, Blue, second.
For Jackson, second.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor, say
Abigail,
aye.
I just want to say, Abigail, you're doing a great job.
Yeah.
I haven't met you yet, but you're doing a great. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Wow, isn't that so crazy? The days and times that we live in. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes. Okay, another one that I actually seen is August 11th. August 11th. And the only thing I have on there is also the issue with the council members' names. Sometimes council, sometimes not. So is there a motion to accept that with corrections?
Yes, Mayor, Councilmember Blue, I'd like to make that motion as stated.
Okay, second.
Councilmember Bowden, I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes. So those are the only ones that I personally got to read. If there's some others that someone else has gotten to read carefully, and would like to put a motion to, I will trust your judgment as long as you're read it, for sure. Is anybody comfortable? Has anybody read through June 9th? Has anybody read through July 7th?
Yeah, Mayor, I did read over the minutes today. But I would like to review the following members for our next meeting. I don't have it up on the screen right now because I have my computer up and I didn't print them out. So I don't have it I think I did have a question on one of them, but I can't, I don't have it in front of me right now. So we can just table it. But I know if nobody else has reviewed it.
Okay, so we're talking about June 9th, June 7th, July 14th, and July 14th public hearing, and then July 14th town meeting. If somebody has read through the minutes thoroughly and feel like it's within their recall of what the meeting was, we can take a motion on any of those four.
I did, but I can't make a motion.
I did too, but I seen one thing on it was in reference to Council Member Blue. It said, first you said she was absent, and then it said she was present later on.
That's when you came
When was
late to
that?
that meeting.
You came in late that time.
Oh, that's what it was. the
Yeah,
late-
you came in late. Yeah, now I
Okay.
remember.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So I'll make
Which-
that motion, Mayor.
For which minutes?
The July.
July session, or July public meeting?
Work session.
Okay, the July session?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so you're making a motion on the July work session. So at the point, Abigail, because I'm gonna say this motion should be with correction, if Ms. Blue is okay with that, because there should be a point when in the minutes, it says Councilmember Blue, something, what's the word?
Join the meeting?
Joined, okay, Councilmember, and it should say it within the time frame after, at the point in time when she came in. So if she had missed like 3 top items and she came in at the 4, it should be said at that point, Councilmember Blue has joined. Is that clear, Abigail? Are you there?
Hello? Oh, yeah.
Abigail, I see you've gone off of mute, but I can't hear anything. Well, if that's the case, is that it should show in the minutes where it is. Is there a second?
This is Councilmember Mendoza. I'll second that.
Okay. All right, so what we have left is the June 9th meeting, and then we have the July 14th public hearing and town meeting. I want to actually read the public hearing to feel comfortable myself because it involved a lot of people. So I would rather, at a minimum, to table that, but we can table all 3 unless somebody has reason not to.
Did we have a vote? I'm sorry to interrupt. Did we have a vote on those July 2nd? We had a motion, the second with correction, but I don't think we voted. One with Miss Blue came in late. We have that correction. Blue made the motion, Mendoza seconded, but I didn't hear a vote.
Okay, that's July 7th. Okay, all right.
July 2nd.
I'll call, yeah, July 2nd. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay,
Is
any
mine
opposed?
No.
No, I heard you. I heard you. All opposed? Any opposed? Okay, no, okay, that motion passes. Okay, and so is there a motion for us to table June 9th town meeting, July 14th public hearing, and July 14th town meeting till next
Yes,
month?
I'll make that motion as stated, Councilmember Blue.
I'll second Councilmember Jackson.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, any opposed? Okay, so those are tabled, and we'll bring them back next month. Thank you very much, Abigail, for your work getting these done. We'll be caught up soon, hopefully. All right, so our next order of business is unfinished business, which is ordinance 06-2020, Black Lives Matter. We have had a public hearing, and because we had no additional comments, and it has been out for some time. If you would like, we can make a motion to actually approve this ordinance, which would then go in effect 45 days from the date of approval. And not to say that we couldn't change things in the future if we need to, but if someone wants to make a motion to go ahead and adopt this ordinance now, you can make a motion to do so.
Councilmember Jackson, I'll make a motion to adopt the ordinance, Black Lives Matter. What is it? Oh, 0, I had it. I'm sorry. 06. I had it written down.
20.
Oh, 06-2020. I apologize for that. My granddaughter was over here. But
Councilmember Blue,
Is
I'd
there a
like to,
second? Okay,
yes,
Blue,
Councilmember Blue would like to second that motion. Oh,
any
06.
discussion? Discussion? Okay, I'll call for a vote. Ward 1,
Aye.
Ward 2,
Aye.
Ward 3,
aye.
Ward 4.
Aye.
All right, and the mayor votes aye. So the ordinance passed, and let us know what we have to do going forward, Mr. Payton. So code enforcement, under new business is code enforcement car. Mr. Payton, you want to go forward? Mr. Payton, you're on mute. Mr. Payton, you're on mute.
There we go. Can you all see the screen?
There is a screen. Can I see it though?
I see it.
Yes.
Yeah, why are you so small? Hold on one second.
See it.
Yeah, I don't know why my screen got small too, but all right. So if you remember at the last meeting, we were talking about Cottage City had purchased a electric vehicle under a grant, and they wanted to charge us a certain amount for the use of the vehicle. Previously, Colmar Manor owned the vehicle, and we leased it to Cottage City for an amount of $150. At the end of that last meeting, the council asked the staff to discuss, what would be a reasonable arrangement for Colmar Manor to pay for the use of the vehicle. So what you have in front of you is what the town manager of Cottage City came back with. So if you could read it, it shows, the annual costs associated with the use of the vehicle, include insurance of $700, which, is about what a vehicle would cost for a year of insurance with Legit. They're depreciating the cost of the vehicle over 7 years, which is reasonable. I guess that's probably 13,000 something dollars divided by 7 gives you the 1,860. They're saying the electric cost, which, is the cost for, electricity that they're using to charge the vehicle is $300. Might be a little high, but I mean, for a couple $100, I'm not that concerned with it. Car wash is $520, which is $20 every 2 weeks. so 26 times 20, it gives you the $520. Also purchased the electric charger for $4,000. I think they got the charger through a grant, and then $4,000 to install it. So they are dividing that by 7 years to get $571 a year. So if you add up the insurance, the depreciation, the electric, the car washes, the electric charger, totals $3,951 a year, or $329.25 per month. And divide that in half, because we're splitting the vehicle usage, that it would be $164.62. And they say, let's just round it up to 170. I actually, so they wanted to charge us $170 a month for the use of the vehicle. I went back to them and I said, well, I'm fine with most of those costs, but the car washes I don't see as a lease cost or cost of the vehicle, whereas insurance, depreciation, the cost of the vehicle, and those things are. So I said, let's take that out and bring it down to $144. And I said, let's just round that to 145. I mean, I don't know, 65, I'd round to 164.62. I'd say round it to 165. So, I mean, we're only talking $5. So basically, I said 142 or 144 a month, and take the car washes out and just charge us when you wash the car, just like you would charge us. I guess you don't do an oil change with an electric car, but if you do new tires or have some other maintenance cost associated with it, we'll pay for half of it when it's incurred. So they said, well, we think the car washes should be included in there. I went back today and said, we'll pay $150 for the lease of it, and bill us for the car washes. And I've not gotten anything back. So, I mean, I think they're getting to the $170. If they get a car wash, they get the $170. So, I think offering them the $150, which is what we paid before, and we didn't. I guess it was in 2018 when we first negotiated or came up with all of the shared costs and how they'd be separated. We didn't go into all this detail about insurance, depreciation. Yeah, we just agreed that $150 would be a reasonable cost for half of a lease payment, which is kind of on the low side. And if we paid that for the last 3 years, then I think, or they paid it for the last 3 years, then I think it's reasonable that we should pay them the $150 and any maintenance costs associated with the vehicle. So that's what I asked them to go back to their council with. She seems to be stuck on this $170. I believe she's out of town, but still checking her emails. And Chief Ayers is the acting town administrator. But she was responsive today and said, okay, we'll put that to their council. So, I guess we need to decide if our council's on board with the $150 and paying for any maintenance costs as they come up, or if you just want to say, all right, just pay the $170, and they won't bill us for the car washes if and when they actually do them. So, we're $20 apart per month, $240 a year. I don't want to argue over, $240, but that's where we are.
So, so my comment's this. I kind of like the idea of breaking things down in order to come to a number, but there's a couple of things that just don't belong here. First of all, car washes is ridiculous. I mean, for everything that we've ever done, wherever cost was involved in the splitting, we split it. And the car wash has nothing to do with the vehicle existing. That has nothing to do with the vehicle existing. It just does not belong there. It's an unacceptable line item. They should bill us if they wash the car. But insurance doesn't necessarily belong there either, because it's not the car. The insurance is not the car. If they pay for insurance, we should pay half of the insurance during the time period of time when we're using the vehicle. So it doesn't belong there. So if we're paying for the car, it should be the cost of what is the physical car. And so I get electric only because they won't be able to necessarily specifically say the electric was used on this vehicle or that vehicle, since they have a couple of electric vehicles. But I do think the number electric is too high. And I think that it should be able to be reasonably calculated based on the number of mileage that we know has been used in the code enforcement car in the past, and information that's out there on the internet to calculate electricity cost by miles, because I know that information is out there. You know, like for 100 miles, you use this much electricity, and for whatever, and you multiply that times the cost of a kilowatt to come up with a real number and not just a thrown out number. So it might not be that big of a deal. I think the calculation should be done. I don't know if you know how much miles. I don't mind figuring out the calculation myself if you know how many miles that on average we use on code enforcement. But I just don't want numbers to be random. And that's just my point of view. I think we took a big giant loss on the Chiefs car, and with no way to make that up. And so being that it's their vehicle and we're leasing it from them, I guess for the period of time that we're leasing it, we need to make the cost as fair as possible. Those are my thoughts.
Councilmember Jackson, my thought, I think Dan Baton, you're going in a direction that the town would like to see. So I guess we'll have to wait and see what the city comes back to. I agree with the mayor as far as with the insurance. We should just get billed for that and split the cost for it. It shouldn't be on this calculation. And who washes their car anymore? I don't know. Well, I don't have a car. Who washes cars? Who got time for that? We ain't washing no car. We just keep on going. Yeah, thank you.
Sound like me. But why? I mean, do you spend $20 to wash a car?
Yes,
I don't know.
It's costly. Yeah. If you, Councilmember Blue, if you take the car there and you have someone to wash it and kind of detail it, it probably would be around $20.
But why not? I mean, it's one person riding in the car. Why wouldn't you just go through the drive-through car wash and be done with it? Why are you going to have somebody wash a car?
I don't know, but I know it's costly. But if it is $20, we can split the $20. That still isn't a problem. You know,
Right.
Whatever it is, we can split it and move on. But I don't feel just because of that we should hold up, the car contract. We could go on and talk about the rest of them, see what we agree with or what we don't agree with. But until then, we're just going to use our car. Is that what you're saying, Dan?
No, we're currently using the electric
vehicle.
Yep.
But they want stipulations on, instead of just saying, putting everything out and just give us a 50-50, just divide it. They don't want to do that?
They want to, all those costs that you see, they want to divide in half, and our half come up to 170 by their calculation. I'm saying take the car wash of 520 out, and that would bring it down to 150 a month, which is what we were paying them, and we'll pay for the maintenance costs. So what they were paying for, we would be paying for now. So it's just flipping it. And if it was good for them for 2.5, 3 years, then, I think it should be reasonable that we just stick with what was being charged and, not look at, insurance is $650 to $700. So for them to substantiate it, I mean, that's just more work. I know that's the cost because we get our.
Mr. Baden, I'm not asking for them to substantiate the insurance. I'm asking for it be taken out in terms of the cost of us leasing the vehicle, and we pay half whenever they pay, just like we build half of cost, they should bill us half of cost for car wash, insurance, maintenance, whatever those things are. They should bill us half for those. Those should not be a part of what is the cost of our lease of the vehicle.
But we never
It's just
charge
gonna
them.
be,
We never charge them for insurance separately. So I would have to say the insurance was in the 150, whether we spelled it out or not, because we never billed them separately for the insurance.
well, we made a mistake because we should have. Insurance is not a part of a lease. And we're leasing the vehicle, insurance is not a part of leasing. Now, if we were renting the vehicle, when you go to a rental place, it's all included, but we're not. We're leasing the vehicle for a period of time. Insurance doesn't belong there. We've made a mistake. We should have built them for insurance. We've missed the boat on that one because we should have built them for insurance. But since we haven't, and since Chief Ayers feels like they paid too much for the vehicle, maybe we can throw that out there that they wind up not paying for insurance, which is something that they should have paid for, so he can realize that they had a savings by not paying for insurance. But I'm not going to accept that the fact that we didn't bill them for insurance, it should go into this number because it shouldn't. And that's a better reason to make this cost lower, is that they now have gotten a break on insurance for the 3 years that they had our car, or however many years they had our car. They got a break on insurance for all those years.
Well, whether you include it in this figure or you include it as a separate amount, the amount is still $700. So we're still paying it. It's just in another part of the bill we're going to get from them. So instead of
and for me that's principle. So I realize that we're still paying for it, but if we're going to say we're leasing a vehicle, things like insurance and car washes are not included in that lease.
I mean, normally that wouldn't be the case. I would totally agree with that, but
I guess, Dan, this is a little different because we're not really leasing a car from the motor vehicle place. We're going to town. I just hope that we just have come up with some agreement because we do need to use the car and we're hoping to do more things with Carter City. So we just have to wait, Dan, and see what they say, the proposal that you gave them as far as with the 150.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be between 150 and 170. I mean, that's, because, I said we would be fine with 150. However you cut it, it's 150, and then you add the car washes or you don't. So, yeah, so the figure's the same. We're talking about $20 a month.
Yeah, but Carter City likes to talk about $20. So, but you know what? I'll go if you can get them to agree with what you have suggested. I'll just let my principals go. But I just feel like I feel like we're constantly taking the short end of the stick when it comes to working with Cottage City, and this is getting a little frustrating. But what I said at the meeting last month, you guys and you and Miss Barbara and the two chiefs come to a conclusion, I'm good with what you guys agreed to. But I do think you need to stick by your guns, at least in your $20.
Okay.
Anybody else? Any other thoughts you want to share with Mr. Baden?
No.
So we're at the 150 that Mr. Baden has suggested. Do we need to vote on that, Mr. Baden, to just give you back vote?
We all agreed.
Yeah, I mean, if you vote on it, then I'll just tell them you all, voted on it, and that way I don't have to bring it back. So So that, if they balk at it and say, well, we're not agreeing to it, then I'll need to bring it back.
Okay, so is there a motion to offer Cottage City 150 for the use of their electric vehicle?
Councilmember
Councilmember
Jackson,
Blue, I'll make that motion.
this is Councilmember Jackson. I'll second that motion.
Okay, any discussion?
Yeah,
Okay,
also discussion, with that 150, that's not including the car wash. We do agree to pay for the car wash, whenever it's needed.
Yeah.
yes, and that should go on the record. I would like it also on the record that the actual calculation that Mr. Baden has come up with in removing the car wash was 144. And so therefore, we're actually offering additional $6 over what the amount would be. For the record, I would also like to say that insurance, which is included in this, which I don't think should be included in this, could be $650 and not $700. So therefore, we're also offering a little bit more. And I just want that on the record, that it would be less without the insurance, and the insurance is likely to be $650 instead of $700. So, anybody else have any other discussion for the record? Okay, I'll call for a vote. Ward 1,
Aye.
Ward 2,
Aye.
Ward 3,
Aye.
Ward 4.
Aye.
All right, Mayor votes aye. All right, thank you, Mr. Baden.
You're
Good
welcome.
luck. Godspeed.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so huh?
I said, let me take that off the screen. So.
Oh, okay.
Down.
All right, new business, the mutual assistance agreement. Mr. Barr? Is this the mutual aid agreement? Which, I mean,
Yeah, this is the agreement with the plumbing company to allow them to use our logos and go through our, I believe our go to our residents saying that
oh, you're talking about the marketing agreement.
the marketing agreement, yes.
That's
Okay.
further down the agenda. Mutual assistance is the one between us and Park and Planning.
So that's another item, Dan.
Right, which is the first item.
Okay.
All right, so because I must be using a different agenda than everybody else, tell me what you guys see on number 11 as you see it, Mr. Baden.
Mutual assistance agreement,
Uh-huh,
purchase of body cameras,
uh-huh.
water line agreement, and crosswalk Newark.
Okay, so I do have it right. So the water line agreement, okay, so that's what got messed up. So this thing called marketing agreement is the water line agreement. Is that right?
If that's what you have on yours, because I don't see that anywhere else on my agenda.
No, what I have what you just said, but the document that I'm saying is associated with it, it says marketing agreement on the top. Is that correct?
Hold on one second. Yes, that is the water line agreement.
Okay, so for the record, on the agenda line item, water line agreement, the document associated is called marketing agreement. All right, so going back, so this is where it says mutual assistance agreement, and it says John Barr, it should say Chief Stone?
Well, I think it's both of them.
Okay,
I think
all
it's
right.
both of us, Mayor.
Okay. All right, so you guys proceed on what you need to share with us about what this is. And I'm going to make sure all the council members are on board. So the document that we are looking at related to mutual aid agreement on the agenda is mutual aid and reciprocal enforcement agreement.
Yes.
So, she said, can somebody, you're asking for it to be put on the screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Somebody have it?
Let me see. Pull it up.
I'm trying. Give me a moment. I'm not the screen stuff here.
I got it.
Okay, good.
All right, Chief, you want to speak? Or you want me to speak?
I'll start with this. This really goes back several years when Chief Lowry was here. The town of Colmar Manor, everybody knows the town of Colmar Manor as the incorporated area. Most of us think of it as bordered by Bladensburg Road, Fort Lincoln Cemetery, the Anacostia River, and the dike, for lack of a better word. When in reality, a very large part of our incorporated area is Maryland Park and Planning property, and that runs, majority of it is the Colmar Manor ball fields, which actually run to the Anacostia River and wraps around the cemetery all the way down to New York Avenue. So it's a really large area. Over the years, we've done police activity on park and planning property, and park police have done police activities in the town. This kind of formalizes that and allows us to make arrests on park and planning property and vice versa. It's really formalizes activities that have been taking place for years. And I don't know if Mr. Barr, is that an accurate summarization?
It is. I might add to it that Chief Lowry had some reservations about signing on because of it's a mutual assistance agreement, and he was concerned about providing mutual assistance to some areas east of the river, which or in the river, but access from the east side, that are park and planning areas, and are within the town, but are very inaccessible. And I don't think he ever provided any assistance there. That's not to say we might not start providing assistance there tomorrow, but this is an agreement that's been in place for many, many, many years. As long as I've been town attorney, and it has been renewed from time to time. And I don't think it's ever been a source of or a problem for the mayor and council or for the police department. And I would recommend its signature and adoption. But those are the things that held it up.
Okay, so I'm losing some clarity on what you guys are trying to tell us. If I was to keep it simple, I would start by saying that we wanted an agreement that allows us to patrol and respond to a circumstance that might happen in the park areas within town. But now saying it's that simple, a part of what I understood was that there's certain issues about areas that may not be easily accessible to us. So the river is in town. A large part, a piece of it, well, particularly the part in front of Bladensburg Waterfront Park, which would include the pedestrian bridge going over the river. The town, a lot of you guys might not know it, but the town actually crosses the river and converges at Kenilworth Avenue. And my understanding, some of the complexity there, because of the fact that it crosses the river, so it's over on the other side of town. I mean, literally. Am I hearing that's a part of what your concerns were, is those kind of inaccessible areas of the park to us?
No, these were Chief Lowry's concerns, and raised by Chief Lowry.
Okay,
When Chief Lowry was followed by a succession of individuals, this matter got lost in the shuffle, and it has now resurfaced with Chief Stone, and that is the situation.
okay, and I understand that, Cottage City has an agreement, with Park and Planning. Have you seen their agreement,
No,
Chief?
I have not seen it recently. I believe it was the same agreement, just that the names of the municipalities and the chiefs were changed.
Okay, so this agreement we're looking at is the one that got started when Chief Lowry was here, correct?
correct.
Okay, and as it is as it was. You guys haven't made any changes to it, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, and Chief, do you have any reservations, as to what you
No,
have read through?
I don't have any reservations whatsoever. It really just formalizes practices that have been in place. Some read it in detail. It says things like, for instance, the Colmar Manor Police Department cannot conduct a formal operation planning without notifying them, and vice versa, that they couldn't do something in town without notifying us. If an incident happens in park planning, and we respond to it and take some type of action, they have, I guess, lack of a better word, the first right of refusal. They can come in and take over the case. And same thing in the town. If they come upon something in the town and take some action, and we could, I don't say take the case from them. That's not work with them or make us the primary police department. But I don't have any reservations with it whatsoever.
So the issue of, some of the, less accessible areas, that Mr. Barr is indicating that Chief Lowry had some reservations with, is it resolved in here?
I don't see it as a terribly big issue whatsoever. I think we're not expected to patrol areas that are out of reach, and the park police don't do that on a normal basis. Maybe on occasion if they take the horse up there and go on the trails and things of that nature, but on a general day-to-day patrolling, we wouldn't be expected to go beyond the parking lots.
Okay, there wouldn't be any expectation because.
Right, we don't not expected to bring our boat out and patrol the marina or anything. However, if something were to happen at the marina, and I aren't saying marina, that's taking me back a few years, but to the waterfront park, and they needed assistance, then we could assist.
Okay, so even at the waterfront park, even though it's not within the jurisdiction of Colmar Manor?
Yeah, no, it'd be I'd say the pedestrian bridge to the land on the other side, to the shore on the other side.
So the river and the pedestrian bridge, we can assist.
Yes.
Okay, because I think the waterfront park itself becomes a slippery slope because it's not even in the town of Bladensburg, and therefore it doesn't even fit in our Port Towns MOU. Although everybody acts like it does. I think they treat it like it does, but it really doesn't. But anyway, okay, so yeah, I mean, I think the bridge is good because if something was happening on the bridge and we're here, we should be able to do something about it, and they're not here. So I think that's good. I don't know, council members, if you all know that the trail that leads from a waterfront park, the trail that leads from the waterfront park that goes towards DC, there's a piece of it just before you get to DC that's actually Colmar Manor. You look at it on a map, it's interesting. But, all right, Chief, if you're good, I'll just ask my council members if they have any questions for you.
Councilmember Jackson, I have no questions.
All right, thanks for confirming that. All right, is there a motion to
Mayor?
approve this mutual aid and reciprocal enforcement agreement with Maryland National Capital Park and Planning and the
Mayor?
Colmar Manor Police Department?
Mayor?
Can we go into, I mean, is there a motion? No motion.
I think Mr. Barr was trying to say something.
Okay, Mr. Barr, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think it would be a good idea if you, in any motion that is made, if a motion is made, that the chief be authorized to sign on behalf of the town.
I believe it's worded for Mr. Baden to sign, but
It is?
unless that's changed from my last.
Well, if it's worded from Mr. Baden, let's let Mr. Baden sign.
Actually, I mean, I don't mind it being worded for the chief to sign it. I'm looking at the back here. Yeah, it was originally originally Chief Lowry, so.
Yeah.
The change.
It changed to Danielle. So.
Yeah, Danielle, how about that? How you doing, Danielle?
I was looking at that, said Danielle Baden.
Danielle Baden. At first I thought maybe it was a line for park and planning when I realized it said Baden. So if you could change that back to the chief, Mr. Barr.
Yes.
That is if someone is going to make a motion.
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
Okay, that's Councilmember Blue. Is there a second? Is there a second?
Councilmember Mendoza, I'll second that.
Mendoza. Okay. I'll call, any discussion? Okay, hearing none, I call for a vote. Ward 1?
Aye.
Ward 2?
Aye.
Ward 3?
Aye.
Ward 4?
Aye.
And the mayor votes aye. All right, so that takes care of that. Then, thank you very much. Our next item on the agenda is the purchase of body cameras for the police department. Chief?
Yes, during the budget process, we discussed purchasing of body-worn cameras for use by the police officers. At that time, I presented a proposal from a company called Reveal, and the council approved that. At the time, it was $5,850. We since then we did a trial period. The officers did a trial period with the cameras. There's a type of a mount where they attach to the uniforms that seem to attach better with a magnetic mount. And so we went back to Reveal and asked them to include that. That took the price up just a little bit for a total of $6,150. It includes 6 cameras and computer equipment to store the data on site, as opposed to some other companies who store the data in the cloud, which is a bit more expensive. With that said, I'm asking the mayor and council to approve the purchase of through Reveal for $6,150. Since the budget discussions, we've made application to Legit, who offers a body-worn camera grant program, and we recently received word that we've been approved. If we do make this purchase, that they'll pay for half of it, $3,075. So that's good.
Also, we don't have to make that motion to one of it.
Okay, is there a second?
Who made the motion?
Blue? Okay, with the motion and a second, is there any discussion?
I'm sorry, who was the
Yes,
second?
Mayor. Councilmember
Jackson,
Blue.
Blue and
Councilmember
Jackson.
Blue. If we get the 3,000 from them, we don't have to pay the 6,000, right? With the grant.
We'll have to. Initial payment of $6,150. We'll have to make. However, Legit has committed to the reimbursement of $3,075.
Oh, okay.
So basically, we're getting that $3,075 back from within our budget. Awesome.
Is that right, Tracy?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Well, thank you, Chief. I'll call for vote. Ward 1,
Aye.
Ward 2,
Aye.
Ward 3,
Aye.
Ward 4.
Aye.
All right, Mayor votes aye. All right, Chief. You're 2 for 2. Thank you. All right, so we'll move on to this borderline agreement, which is called the marketing agreement. Now, Mr. Barr, I know we went through this before, and there were some issues that you had with some things that they had in there. Can you specifically point out the things that were issues that you had and what it was that you have changed to make this more acceptable? Mr. Barr?
You're muted, John.
Thank you, Dan. I'm not unmuting. I'm having a problem with my system.
We can hear you now.
Okay, I'm back on now, I see. I lost us for a couple of minutes.
All right, so what I said was, I know we had been through this before, and there were some issues with the agreement they provided us that you wanted some changes in. So can we just talk to the things that you had issue with and how are you resolving it here?
Well, what we did was I went through all of the issues with Mr. Baden and with a company representative and the company's attorney. We resolved all of the issues except one when they sent back the agreement. And that one item that was left over that we couldn't resolve was the fact that I wanted the plumbing company to cover the mayor, council, town, and appointed individuals with their insurance. Now, Dan points out to me that there's a similar program in District Heights, and they've never been sued. District Heights has over the many years that this program has been in existence. So a choice needs to be made by the mayor and council whether they want to go into this program without specific insurance coverage other than that provided by Legit, or whether they want to say to the plumbing company in this regard that we're simply not going to do it with that specific insurance being provided. That's a decision that has to be made by the mayor and council. I'm not comfortable without the insurance, but as Mr. Baden points out, District Heights has never incurred litigation. So if it's not going to happen, then insisting upon it becomes superfluous, and that's a decision I think you all have to make. I can't.
So, Mr. Baden, what is District Heights getting out of this agreement?
A percent of the monies that the homeowners are paying for the policies. So the homeowners are basically buying insurance policies from this company, and we're allowing them to do that and market it to the town or market it to the residents in exchange for us getting a certain amount. And set out in Exhibit A, which I don't think is included in this agreement. Oh, yeah, here it is.
I see it.
So basically 10% per product for each month that a product is in force. So, and then the products cost $575 a month for external water service, $775 for sewer septic, which we don't have septic. Interior plumbing and drainage plans. So those are basically the three different types of plans that a property owner can buy. If someone buys that, we get 10% remitted to us on an annual basis. It's pretty popular in District Heights. Quite a few residents have it. We get probably about $5,000 a year royalties from it. We have 4 times the population of Colmar Manor. So, once this program gets up and running, if it's as popular in Colmar Manor as it is in District Heights, I'm thinking we may get $1,000.
So a question I have, if there was a liability scenario and we're in this agreement, would legit still cover us for going into an agreement with another company like this? Will legit still cover us?
I'll let John answer that one.
Thank you, Dan. I have no idea. I did not ask legit.
Okay, because that's an important part of this. I mean, we're covered by legit, but if in some way our agreement with legit precludes us from actually being in business with somebody else where we are mutually sued by somebody because our name is on their materials, we need to know if we're covered by legit in doing this, if they're not willing to make us a writer on their policy. But I don't know why it would be a big deal. Why can't they just put our names on their policy?
They don't want to do it.
It should also be stated that MML, I would say, is the correct term, endorses this policy or allows?
No. They don't endorse anything. I talked to Scott Hancock about that, and he said that they're on the list as a corporate sponsor. And they don't endorse any product. They're just simply.
You know what, Mr. Bart? I mean, I just have to say, from the material that we received and from Scott, specific to this, it wasn't just a, what do you call sponsorship?
Yeah.
Scott sent a letter out to the towns saying, this is a service that we back up, blah, 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 blah. Mr. Payton, you saw it, didn't you?
Yeah, and even in this paragraph right here, this third or fourth whereas, it says the company of subsidiary of HomeServe USA Corp is the administrator of the National League of Cities Service Line Warranty Program. So they're even using the National League of Cities.
I can only quote to you what Scott Hancock told me.
Right.
Right, I understand, but yeah, this is a part of what they sent us, because what we got came from Maryland Municipal League, but this is what they had said, the National League of Cities buying their official program or whatever, and
Well, so what?
if they didn't intend to endorse, it certainly came off that way. And that's the reason I brought it to the table, because it came from MML. But your point, Mr. Baton, in saying so, was it?
Say that again?
I said your point in saying so, you started your sentence with the MML endorsed it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I thought they were endorsing it, but John did have a conversation with Scott, and I think he feels otherwise. But
your point, what was your point you were making in saying that?
well, if they're endorsing it, I would think that Scott Hancock serves on the legit board of directors and things as well. I don't think they'd be endorsing a product that legit would not cover us based on the municipalities entering into this type of agreement that they are helping promote, I think.
Well, if that was the case and Mr. Barr didn't feel differently, then I would say, okay, I'm fine with that, with Scott being on the board. But considering that Scott's response was different than a full-throated endorsement, we need to get an answer to the question. I really would not recommend for $1,000 a year that we take the chance that some plumber goes in and busts up somebody's whole system and then they sue and we're included in the suit, which could be thousands and thousands of dollars. To take that chance for $1,000, we need to know that we're covered, like with something in writing.
Yes,
Mayor, may I suggest?
let's check with legit first. Agree.
I was going to say, may I suggest that this item be tabled and that I will take the responsibility of confirming with Mr. Hancock the elements of my conversation with him, and that I will.
Can we just go direct? I'm sorry. Can we just go directly to legit and tell them what the agreement is?
Well, I want to know both answers.
I could go legit if Tom wants to go to Scott.
Can we go to legit? Can we just get it in writing also?
Yes. That's what we need.
Legit.
Okay, great. So if we got something in writing, just to make sure that us going into an agreement with a separate company such as this to collect a royalty, we would still be covered if something happens with their service. All right. Well, we're covered. Any other council member comments in relationship to that recommendation? All right. So I assume you're on board. Y'all know what to do. So let us know next month what y'all get, okay? Or at the work session.
Do I make,
Yes,
do I need to make a motion to table this, or we just put it on a work session?
I don't know. Do we need to make a motion to table it? It's under new business. Never hurts. Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to table till the work session. This is Councilmember Jackson.
Okay. And is there a second?
This is Councilmember Mendoza. I'll second that.
Okay, discussion. I will discuss that. We have discussed this and have requested that we determine MML's level of participation or endorsement in this program, and also that we find out from legit whether or not we would be covered if something was to happen with this waterline company in our town. All right.
I will take care of legit if you call Scott again.
Are y'all in agreement? Mr. Baden will contact legit. Mr. Barr, you'll contact Mr. Hancock. Mr. Barr? Well, he already said that he wanted to, so let's just say that's what will happen. I'll call for a vote. Ward 1.
Aye.
Ward 2.
Aye.
Ward 3.
Aye.
Ward 4.
Aye.
All right, Mayor votes aye. We'll bring this back at the work session. Okay, so the last item on here, which was the crosswalk on Wood Road, I think we already talked about it. So anybody have any additional questions about the crosswalk? Okay. I asked to add, if the council would be willing to give me the authority to order another dumpster. If it seems like we could use another one in the next week.
What you need a motion for that, Mayor?
Yeah, because the cost, I don't know, if the cost could exceed $500. I think the dumpster generally rents for like 300, but then it costs like $200 to unload it. And if it has to be unloaded midstream, and then it's the cost of never done a dumpster before, the cost of the at the yard, whatever. Mr. Bateman, do you have any familiarity with the dumpster cost?
With the dumpster,
Uh-huh. Have you had any of your towns using dumpsters and generally the whole cost?
um, if you're talking about roll-offs, or are you talking about a dumpster?
I guess you call them roll-offs.
Roll-offs are the open, they're like 40-foot long by 10 feet wide and, 8 feet tall. That you see at like construction sites, they're like $400.
Okay.
Dumpsters are less than that, probably 200. If you're just talking a dumpster like we have at the back of the municipal building, that would be more like 200. The roll-offs would be 400.
Okay. So we have the roll-off. We have the roll-off right now.
Roll off.
And we wind up with extra days because they were supposed to pick it up on Friday and bring it back so that they had the weekend to dump, but it filled up in 3 hours. And so we never really got the weekend, we never got the extra days. So when they bought one back today, that's what they gave it to us through Friday to have more time. But so it cost the $400, then plus it costs the dumping fees, right?
Usually that includes the dumping fees. Did we get them from Bates?
Yes.
Yeah, that usually includes the dumping fees.
Oh, okay, because that's not the way Mike explained it to me. He said that every time we dump, we have to pay $200 plus some cost of dumping. But
I'll talk to Mike tomorrow. I mean, normally, I don't know what he negotiated with Bruce, but normally the 400 would include the dumping fees. So maybe he's giving us maybe he's not even charging us for the roll off. I don't know. And just charging us a dumping fee.
yeah, I don't know either. I mean, we had gotten a quote some time ago about how much it would cost to bring one in. And I think it was like $350, but I didn't hear anything about extra cost for dumping. So maybe Mike just misunderstood. You talked to him. I guess the vote I would need is that if it's over $500, I have the authority to go ahead and bring in a dumpster again.
I'll make that motion. This is Councilmember Jackson. If we need to bring another dumpster, and if she's over $500, I'll make that motion stated.
Okay, is there a second?
Blue.
Okay, any discussion?
Yes, if we're in need for another dumpster, will it be at the same location? In
It
Ward,
doesn't,
or will it be at another location?
it doesn't have to be. I had it put there because I know that's where the bulk of people's issues were. But, maybe, hopefully they'll have their stuff done. And I don't care where it might go.
I don't even, Mayor. I think when it was there, I was just telling people, if you got stuff cleaned out your house, I didn't realize it was just mainly trying to get the flood residents. So I know I spread it that to tell people, hey, I know you got some bought stuff, just, the dumpster is there. So.
It doesn't hurt. I mean, it doesn't hurt that, other people used it. It's just that it happened to come there in an emergency scenario because of an emergency we had.
Right.
And now if we need to put out another one to help people just clean out their houses, it just doesn't hurt. I mean, when people clean out their houses, they clean up their lives,
Right.
So it's a super positive thing and worth it if this is what our community needs to just get rid of some stuff. So
Damage, right.
say it again.
Do we have someone that can help if it's a senior that has something damaged in her basement and cannot move it? Should they call the town hall and ask our maintenance? How should that be handled?
That's a liability on, that's
I was going to say exactly the same thing.
I wouldn't hold it. That's a liability.
No, we couldn't.
But one of their family members. Then.
Yes, one of the things, one of the seniors was happy that we did have the dumpster. She just wished she would have known ahead of time because she did have some stuff. So now she'll be able to contact someone in her family to help her with it, so, but that's
Right.
definitely a liability on, we don't want that to happen. If Michael Jerome helps someone in their basement, they hurt their back or slip and fall, oh wow, we'll be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I mean, we've had kind of some of these questions before, and we should just be, like when somebody has some kind of animal in their yard and they think that we can come in their yard to clear out the animal that's out there. We just don't. I mean, we can't go on other people's property without some sort of a signed agreement from that person saying that they hold us harmless for doing that, unless it's under a code enforcement capacity of some sort, or some police safety issue or something like that, but not public works in general. So,
Right, the same lady, Mayor, that had called and was wanting the wet vacuum from the town was asking how to get the carpet up. So I'll tell her that she'll have to get a handyman or a family relative.
yeah, and to that, and to that point, Chief, as I was talking about code enforcement and us starting to get a list of construction people or any kind of, contact people who need help in town, to get, we need a list of people who are handy people who are willing to go in, just so that we can share with people a list of somebody they might be able to call to shovel their snow or, cut their grass or things that, people might, be willing to help somebody else in town with. So that we can share that with people and they can try to call people. Of course, Mr. Barr, we need a disclaimer signed by anybody we give the names to that, we're just giving you names. Whatever happens, has nothing to do with us.
Yes. That's correct, Mayor.
Yes. So, all right. So I'm call for a vote. Ward 1?
Aye.
Ward 2?
Aye.
Ward 3?
Aye.
Ward 4?
Aye.
Okay, Mayor votes aye. And so once we get past this dumpster, we'll look at getting another one. I don't know. I mean, we could put it, I think it's a great location where it is, but we could put it in the parking lot in Ward 1.
Okay.
Or we could put it in the town parking lot. Probably closer down is better. Well, no, that's taking up parking spaces big time. If we put it in that parking lot, Ward 1, we best put it in the town parking lot, probably. All right, with that done. Okay, next item is seniors report. Do you have anything, Ms. Blue?
No, the seniors bus is back out running. Other than that, that's about it. And you can explain to them the schedule, Mayor. I don't really know the schedule. Could you explain that?
The schedule?
For the senior van?
Well, we're not running on Thursdays, but we just run every other day of the week. And we run it based on people's calls and pretty much till 3:00.
Okay.
And the rest of you guys don't know, but Mr. Blue resigned as bus driver in the midst of the last couple of weeks, and Sheila Butler is now our new driver. So just to keep you informed on that one, and from a seniors report, just let you know that Renee is still calls the seniors once a week, checks in to see how they are. And there's been times when we couldn't reach one. The chief has done wellness checks to see that they're okay. And Garden Club, any report?
Oh,
Okay.
yes. I was trying to see if Dorita was on. I guess she must have left off. I'm not sure. Just want to say thank you to the garden members, Councilmember Blue, Leslie, Julianne, Dorita. We worked in the garden this Saturday, weeding, putting mulch down. Thank you to Public Works for getting the mulch. We were in the garden for. We also talked about things that we want to do to the garden. Gia, 1 second. We also talked about, thank you. We also talked about things that we have planned for the garden in Ward 1, as far as really making it sustainable, as far as with the water. Right now, the town provides water for us. We're really trying to put rain barrels so we'll be able to water the garden. We'll be meeting again on the 3rd Saturday of October, which will be putting in our new shed in the garden in Ward 1. We talked about new designs for the garden coming up. But if you have questions, please call Dorita Epps or myself if you're interested in the parts. We're going to revisit our garden club because a lot of people have dropped off, or we just haven't heard from them. So I'll be contacting a lot of individuals to see if they're still willing to be part of the garden club. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
And the
Okay,
green
team.
So my intention was for the green team to meet this month, and by us changing the town meeting to the third Tuesday, I kind of slipped the date on it. So hopefully that will be meeting in the month of October. I'm looking forward to getting together with the Carter City Green Team also. I know some of the homes that's in our town that was hit with the flood, but the flood did not get into their home because they had a lot of flowers and certain things in their home. So we'll be talking about that. So our next Green Team meeting will be the second Tuesday of October. I'll have Kayla help me do the webcam. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Councilmember Bowden, I kind of doubt you have a recreation report, but have you had any report? I will say that I had a conversation with Renee yesterday about us trying to figure out something that we can do for Halloween. We will have a meeting before now and Halloween, but I want to say that I'm going to highly recommend that we cancel illegal trick-or-treating this year because of COVID-19, and I don't want people randomly kids knocking on people's doors. And some people, even though some people are not taking this seriously, and so they wouldn't be knocking on people's doors, some people, and it just shouldn't happen at all. So I'm highly recommending that we cancel trick-or-treating, but if we can figure out something that we can do for Halloween, Renee has suggested a trunk or trick. What do you call it? Trunk or trick? Where you put the toys, the candy in the back seat of trunk or treat, right? Cars that we maybe have over during town. But anyway, there's a lot of logistics that have to go into it. We still have to make sure people are separating, distancing, and all of that kind of stuff. So we'll talk a little bit more about it on work session. Councilmember Mendoza, you have a report on PGCMA.
PGCMA, we just met last Thursday. I'll give a better report next month because we're still going over the logistics on the legislative. There's a lot of committees, but I'll give a better rundown on what the commitments are on PGCMA for the legislative year. Their priorities. But it looks like also tentatively December 3rd, I believe, is when the virtual legislative dinner will be.
December when?
December 3rd. And
Third.
I'll give a better, that's what we're talking about, but it's not set in stone yet. Is it December 3rd? Yeah, December 3rd. It was just talked about, but virtual, everything's virtual now.
Right, exactly. All right, well, thank you for that report. Just a quick question, Mr. Baden, on the previous topic. What am I looking at, where it says dark cars, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and New Carrollton?
That's the
New
vehicle.
Carrollton.
That's the electric vehicle that they bought.
Okay.
That's the bill of sale.
So I thought this was not a new vehicle, but it says it's new here.
I don't think it's a 2016. I don't think I even brought that up because that was. Oh, hold on, no, I do see it. No, it's. No, under vehicle it says 2016 Nissan Leaf.
Yeah, on the line above it, it says new. Under new use, it says new, and it says 0 miles.
Yeah, well, that was incorrect. And, that was not the final invoice because they had to take out tax and they adjusted something else. And the final price was $13,800. And then they had striping and stuff that put it to $14,200, somewhere around there. But Taylor put that in the packet, and I said, "Well, that's not what we're discussing, but it's there if needed."
All right, okay. All right, guys, anything else? Anybody have anything else for the good of the order?
So they get in a fight or something? Get in a fight? Yeah. You crack your head. I heard it. You all right.
I'm sorry, Cynthia, are you talking to us? I mean, Councilmember Bowden, are you talking to us?
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Mute your phone.
Okay, so is there a motion to adjourn?
Just
Yes,
real
ma'am.
quick, from Councilmember Mendoza, I just wanted to say congratulations to our new officer. Welcome to the Colmar Manor family.
That's awesome, thank you.
Also want to say, happy Hispanic Heritage Month.
What'd you say again?
She said Happy Hispanic Heritage Month.
Okay, thank you.
I'm a
Yeah, it would be
grandparent
nice.
again.
You're a grandparent again?
Yeah.
Well,
Congratulations.
congratulations.
Grandpa Baden.
Woo!
Another girl.
Another girl.
Girls are rolling.
That's right. I mean, I see some spoiled children in the future. For sure.
That's for sure.
That's great to hear. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Is that your daughter or your son?
Both of them are with my son. My daughter just got married, so she hopefully has a little longer.
Okay. Tell them congratulations.
Yes,
I will
tell
do
them
that.
congratulations.
Thank you.
But I want to remind all of you, the four-town meeting is tomorrow at 4 p.m. And so if you don't have the information, you should contact Kayla. Get it.
I won't be able
Okay.
to 4 o'clock. Is that 4 or 6?
It's 6 o'clock.
I will try to.
Okay, awesome. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion to adjourn. Blue.
A second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Yeah, okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Okay, this meeting is now adjourned.
Good
Thank
night,
you.
everyone.
Good night.
Thank you all.
Have a good night. Good night.